Hi everyone. This is my first live stream, so I'm not exactly sure what to expect and how this is going to go. But I have been, let's see, here we go. I have been getting the feeling that, time is getting shorter and shorter. So let's see. My pre-produced videos take a long time to make. So with these live streams, I'll just be getting you guys, all the information that I know. And we'll be solving this world script that's all around us once and for all. I know it's a big statement, but that's what's going to be happening here. Let me just see if this is working. I didn't do like any kind of, warning to anybody that I was going to be having a stream. So I don't really know what to expect in terms of the chat. If we could just get like 10 or 20 people, that would be awesome. Hey, how's it going? Amanda? Amandy? It's good to see you. So, I've basically put together like 3 folders of, a ton of information. It's a ton of images that we'll just be going through. If you don't mind, how's my audio? Is everything okay? I'd appreciate anyone in the chat, letting me know. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Um, so I'll just leave this image up here first, and I'll just kind of be saying, "Okay, great. Awesome. Sound is good." I'll just kind of let some people come in for a couple minutes. Like I said, I don't know what to expect. I mean, even just like, 10 or 20 people is cool to just start off. So essentially, what I think is that, the world that we're in is scripted. You can kind of make of that what you want. And I think, similar to the what happens in the book of Job, it seems to me like God and Satan are both kind of working together on this test of people. So I just kind of made this image. It's like the cover page of a screenplay. Like the original story by God adapted for the screen by Satan, because he's obviously the one running Hollywood and the media, the mainstream media, the news, and all that, and all these ridiculous politicians and things going on. But interestingly enough, it seems like God's story and Satan's story, they share the same symbolism, and that symbolism is also found in the Mandela Effect. And I'll be showing you guys a ton of connections and hidden messages, and I think it's about time that we finally started solving all this. Instead of just pointing out, there's a 33, there's a 666, there's a kraken symbol or whatever, and there's a needle symbol or a spiked ball or something. I think that the more the more people talking about it, and the more we think about it and everything and investigate, I think that it actually does turn into an actual script that has meaning. So uh I guess I'll just start here. Like I said, I'm not really sure what to expect with this first live stream. I just kind of want to, get over my initial nerves. So the best way to do that is to probably just start. Yeah, exactly. We need to be as wise as serpents and gentle as doves. And I think that actually might even be a Mandela affected passage, but I'm not sure on that one. I'd have to look it up. All right. So let's get started here. So one of the things I'm putting forward, and I'm not sure if I'm the first person to say this or not, but every element of the world script, it plays out in 3 different ways, and you could look at this image like 3 columns. So the left column, you have basically what is the world stage. So that's all the politicians, like they're having like some kind of summit meeting in that top left image. And interestingly enough, there's like a space needle type um, whatever that is. I don't even know what that is, but it looks like there's a space needle, symbol right behind them, which is interesting. But who? that's just kind of random, possibly, or maybe it isn't. So then, like, we have all these protests and hey, Matology, what's up, man? It's good to see you. Your comments are awesome, by the way, for my other videos. Hey, Archangel, good to see you as well. Um, the So yeah, they get people all, fired up, and there's always, agent provocateurs that really, get things going, and all these big, Black Lives Matter and, January 6th and these types of things. And it's both sides, of course. They play both sides against each other. Then the bottom left, all the celebrities, all the, musicians, actors, they're all just in the club. And that's from the Blue Origin takeoff, which was obviously, totally phony and ridiculous. So this is the world stage where these symbols and thanks, Matt, appreciate it. Um, where these symbols and things are on showcase, and I'll show you guys instead of just talking about it. I'd rather show you, but just to go over this image a little more. So in the middle column, we have the world itself. Um, so that first image is just something random I picked, but that's like kind of what I picture is at the North Pole. There's definitely a giant mountain there that's known as Rupus Nigra on some maps. And that's not what this image is. This is just symbolic of it. Um, and it's known as a bunch of names. Mount Meru, Mount Olympus. I think. Yes, they are definitely phony. The next image in the middle there, that's from the LA fires. And this was a famous image from it because it shows this white and blue Volkswagen bus that, like, survived the fire. And there was like this common saying in the news during that time where, like, they were saying that, like, blue things weren't being hit by the fires or whatever, like houses with blue roofs weren't being caught in the fire, and then this Volkswagen bus that's blue and white. And this is because whether or not that's true or not. I mean, they could have just driven this bus out there and parked it for the photo. I'm not saying that this actually happened, but whether it happened or not, it's symbolic of the colors blue and white, and we'll be getting into it because those are essentially the colors at the top of the central pillar of the blue beam. It's like Christ's colors, it's the colors of truth. Whenever you see like a light blue color, it's basically the color of truth. And whenever you see like Christ imagery, it's usually yellow, blue, and white. And that goes for like male and female characters, and a bunch of things. So we'll get into that. And of course, at the bottom, it's a good example of some melted buildings from the past, and I won't be getting too into that. I mean, there are channels that really delve into a lot of these issues. So, what I really want to focus on is um, just making sure everything's okay. What I want to focus on is the world script, and then we'll be getting into the Mandela effect too, a little bit in this stream, but actually not too much. It's going to be mostly on the world script because I have to like lay some foundation first. And then, all right, so let me get, I should probably go a little faster because there's a lot of images to get through here. So on the right column, the world script happens in ourselves. So on the left, we have the world stage. In the middle, we have the world itself. And on the right, we have ourselves. So you have the wolves in sheep's clothing, the duality between our dark side and our light side with Mark Hamill there in Return of the Jedi at the end. And then the people on top of the mountain at the end, hopefully that's where we all get to, because that's how you get closer to God, and that's how you pass this test, in my opinion. All right, so here again, it's just three images: the world stage, the Earth itself, and inside us. So if you think about all the symbolism and all the world scripting and things, you can generally see how each instance of it plays out on in each category. So let's start out within ourselves. The One of the biggest secrets I think in the world is that we each have a twin spirit to us. There's a left pillar and a right pillar, and this was showcased, of course, on the world stage with the September event in New York, where we had the two pillars going down, and then they became one pillar rising from the ashes in the central pillar. and that's what's happening inside of us on a spiritual level. So if you're essentially ruled by your left pillar, that's like the wolf, then that's not going to end up good for you, in my opinion. And in the worst case scenario, basically when the pillars merge, you would end up going down to the abyss. If you're ruled by your right pillar, in a best case scenario, you end up going up to paradise. So it's like the left pillar is black, the right pillar is white, and you could, of course, also put the color wheel on these. So the left pillar would be red, and the right pillar would be green. And then when these, and then you have yellow and blue and white in the center. And when these pillars merge inside of us, the white goes up, the black goes down, and the colors are in between from red at the bottom to blue and violet at the top, like how the rainbow used to be, but that's a Mandela effect. And now rainbows have red on top, which is interesting. And we'll get to that, I'm sure, at some point. I don't know who made this painting. I just found it on Google, but it's a really awesome painting, and it really depicts what I'm talking about well. And this, I think, also relates to the Isaiah 11:6 Mandela effect. Um, cool. We got, looks like 18 people watching. But the Isaiah 11:6 Mandela effect used to say the lion will lay with the lamb. Now it says the wolf dwells with the lamb. I think this relates to our twin pillars inside of us. And we'll get into that whole passage because there's actually a lot there. But for now, I just kind of want to take a broad view. Um, we'll just, we'll take an aerial view of the whole world script. And then in future videos, we'll, get into a lot of the specifics. All right. So when these pillars are merging, it's the decisions that we make throughout our life that determines which pillar is going to rule us. And that also doesn't mean discarding the other pillar. And one way to think about it too is like the angel and the devil on each other's shoulders. Hey, Emerald Boar. Yes, hopefully we're live. I think we're live. Let me know if there's any issues with the sound or anything. It should be good. I did test this before, so it seemed like everything was okay. Um, but yes, when these pillars merge, not no one's perfect. We all have done negative things. Sinning. Bad stuff that feeds our left pillar. But in those times in our life when we have, sorry, ill tiger. Does Brian Stavely do shows still? That's awesome. Brian, as far as I know, is still on an extended break. I've talked to him a little bit. We were supposed to talk, but then it didn't happen. Just on the phone, privately. But yeah, I mean, I think he's just taking a long break, and I think he's taken long breaks before too. So hopefully he comes back soon. I mean, I don't think it'll be soon, honestly, but yeah, I definitely hope he comes back. Of course. Bizwoofer, good to see you, man. I recognize your name, but it's good to see you. Let's see. So yeah, all right, go through that. This is just a different, these are clips from my previous videos. A lot of these will be, but some of them won't also. So it's just showing, it's between men and women, it's all of us. We all, no matter, what you look like, who you are, we all have these twin pillars, and this is all part of the test. Brian is Mandela affected. Actually, his last name apparently is, but that's not one for me. Although the Moneybags one is one for me. I definitely remember seeing Moneybags 76, and now he's 73. um, yeah. So the Tree of Life. That I don't want to get super into it, but here you can see like the rainbow. From red on the bottom to the higher colors of blue, violet, and white at the top. I think people get like too into, all the specifics on this. I like to look at the stuff. I think we should look at it as simply as possible. That's really how you get the answers we're looking for, honestly. It's really through simplicity and repetition. So for instance, you could take this let's see what I got here. Okay, so yeah, so these three pillars, you could basically just overlay them onto this tree of life. So the central pillar's in the middle, and then you have the left pillar, and then the right pillar. And if you notice, it even lines up with um, the symbolism of these planets. You have Mercury, Mars, and Saturn on the left, which is what I would expect. Um, you have Mercury, the trickster, Mars, the warlike god, and then Saturn, the god of time. And a bunch of negative stuff, but also perhaps positive stuff. And I'm also not saying that we should throw away our left pillar. We just shouldn't be ruled by it if you want to get closer to God. So yeah, the three pillars. So many things come down to the three pillars. Hey, what's up, Four Jacks? It's good to see you. Uh, so yeah, this is how the colors would overlay. Now you could also look at this in like a three-dimensional way where they're basically spiraling up from the bottom. So like at the bottom you would have black, which in terms of light, we're talking about light here, not like, physical colors. So black is the absence of color and white is like a harmony of all colors. So that's paradise. And then the abyss is like nothingness. So at the bottom you would have red and then it would like, spiral up to the top from red and then hitting the red at the left pillar, spiraling up through the right pillar to be green, and then spiraling way up to the blues. And this just shows how so many things in our world can just be simplified. Now, and feel free to have issues with some minor things here, but I think all in all, these things do add up to each pillar. Um, so essentially, Christ-like stuff would be on the right, and Antichrist stuff would be on the left. So that like the point of this screen is not to be confusing or to show you a ton of stuff at once. It's to really show you how simple it all is, and also to keep in mind with the numbers. So like the threes would be the right pillar, the sixes would be the left pillar, and the nine would be, the God level at the top of the central pillar. And interestingly enough, like the left pillar is like our double or our evil twin essentially, and six is the double of three. And the left pillar is also the inverse upside down of God because the Antichrist or Lucifer is trying to be God. So six is the upside down inverse of nine. And I think that's designed to be that way. Yeah, endless names. Sorry if my small screen here cuts off some of the stuff, but if you want to see it, I mean, these are all in my previous videos as well. Black is the absorption of all colors. That could be true. That could be true for sure. It's kind of like the black hole, how it absorbs everything. What do I think of Wake Up or Else? Yeah, Wake Up or Else. That's John Kerwin. I think he's great. I tune into his streams whenever I can. I mean, he's the guy to go to for the Bible changes. So I would definitely recommend his channel. So here, the left pillar being the sun, the right pillar being the moon. Now you can see these sometimes switched, but from my research, this is usually what it is. And sometimes when things are switched, like if you see the moon on the left and the sun on the right, or like if Boaz is on the right and what is it, Jachin is on the left. If you see something like that, you have to also consider the placement of the person or whatever it is that's being shown to you. Like, are you inside the temple or outside the temple? So you have to like kind of use your own discernment as to which pillar is which. But suffice it to say that the sun and the moon are twin pillars. And I would put the moon on the right and the sun on the left. The right pillar is like the spiritual pillar, which is why it's more Christ-like. The left pillar is like the physical pillar, which is why it's more Antichrist-like. The people who are getting, the V and who are more Antichrist in personality, they are obviously more physically minded. They're afraid for their lives. The news and things has them in constant fear. Things like that. People who are more right pillar oriented, which I assume is most of the people here, we we don't fall for that. Fear in anything is obviously not a good idea and not good to have. And when you're spiritual, you don't really fear physical death. Spiritual death is much worse than physical death. So when these pillars combine, they create the eclipse. So whenever you see, and notice here also, this is the Vesica Pisces. So whenever you see the Vesica Pisces and whenever you see the eclipse, this is symbolic of many things, but it's symbolic of the central pillar, I would say, among most things. And notice also how it's like a portal. This is also the letter O. So one of the things we'll be getting into probably more in the future will be what each letter means. And I don't even know 100% yet. So I'd like to hold off on that until I am 100% in all the letters. But there are some that I think are pretty obvious. Like I think most people would agree that like a D is a door. Um, because it looks like a door, and also the delta symbol, which is kind of the same thing. It's a door. Um, and I would say that the O, it's a crown, the corona, the eclipse, the it's a portal, you know, and I think each letter is significant, and that's why I think certain letters change in Mandela effects while others don't in a certain thing. Please understand. Okay. Okay. So that's like what's going on in ourselves in terms of the twin pillars. Now, the other huge symbolic, what should I say, grouping or man, not sure what the right word would be. But one thing to keep note of always is the North Pole Island. I'll just say it like that. So, Lost would be the show or anything that I would recommend the most out of all the media. I watched it when it first came out, and I loved it until the last season, and I hated it. But then I rewatched it a couple years ago, and totally blew my mind. And I loved the last season. Like, it made me cry like several times because it's so on point and it was so ahead of its time. And I think a lot of people just didn't like it, including my past self, because we just didn't get it. We weren't ready for it. It was too ahead of its time, like I said. But yeah, I highly recommend watching this or rewatching this. But it's all about the North Pole Island. You could see the island. One thing that like Jay Dreamer's channel, another channel, of course, that I would recommend. And I've appeared on this channel a couple times too. If you want to check out those interviews, if you haven't seen them. But he talks about. I've learned most of this North Pole Island stuff from him. And one thing too is the island at the center of the world is also known as like the split island. So whenever you see like a mountain that has like a split in it, so it kind of looks like the letter M, that's referencing the North Pole Island. And this whole show is about the North Pole Islands and all that. It's really intense. Like this is the part where one of the main characters finds the hatch at the end of the first season, and what comes up out of the hatch? It's the blue beam. What a surprise! So if you're not familiar with the oh, sorry, I didn't see there. Oh, the flash right is beyond. Fear not is said. Yes, yeah, it's apparently said not to fear in the Bible 365 times. I haven't checked that for myself, but that's what I've heard, which is interesting. Yeah, Jay Dreamers, shout out for sure. Um, so yeah, I mean, if you're not familiar with the blue beam symbolism, just keep this image in mind, and you're gonna see it. It's in like everything. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how we just never really saw it. Unindoctrinated. Hey, what's up, man? And, of course, when the blast door was thrown out, this is the word that was on it. So that's interesting too. And also this word quarantine, it means 40 years, which is interesting as well, because that's like a biblical generation. So, there's a lot going on with the 40 years thing. Like, I think, I don't wanna get I mean, there's a lot to get into, but, yeah, I'll save some of that for later. So this is from The Incredibles. This is, of course, the North Pole Island again. This is when they're going up to the North Pole Island. So one thing too about the North Pole is there's usually some kind of mist or clouds around it because it's like an island of mystery. It's hidden from us. It's like a mirage essentially. So you'll always see like mist or clouds associated with it. Are the pillars in your brain? Well, there might be physical pillars in the brain, but I think it's what I'm talking about is more on a spiritual level. Just does the tree of life or pillars have to do with chakras? Yes, I think they are related. Yeah, I think those are like the chakra colors. I think that's probably also what the Bible talks about when it mentions the rainbow being the promise from God, and of course the actual rainbow too. But I think it has more to do with the chakra colors because that when you get up to the higher levels of the blues, the violets, the whites. That's how you get closer to God and actually start having communication with God. Does it tie into yes, it ties into the pineal gland for sure. One thing too, the pineal gland, it's also the pineal organ. I almost would rather just call it the pineal organ because gland kind of it's almost like a throwaway word, but like an organ sounds like something more significant, which it is. And I'm not saying you specifically. Everyone calls it the pineal gland, but if you look it up, it's also the organ, which I find interesting because it is an eye, and I'll be getting into that later too. But it does function as an eye because it's able to sense light and darkness, which is extremely interesting too. when you consider the twin pillars, because light is the right pillar and darkness would be the left pillar. So, and the reason why it's called the gland is because it secretes melatonin that helps us sleep. So when it senses enough darkness, we sleep, which is also extremely interesting on a spiritual level, because being asleep spiritually means, like you're a normie. So if you have too much darkness, then you're asleep and you're a normie. So these things all function on multiple levels like that. I screen record your videos and post on Facebook Reels. I always uh totally. That's awesome. No, you can share my stuff for sure. Yeah, as long as you send people to the original channel. That's awesome. Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind. I'm not making any money off of this, so I totally don't. As long as you tell people that it's my channel and send them my way, that's great. Um, so okay, so this is from the Hobbit movies. Hey, great to see you too. Uh, Celero Morales. Sorry if I totally butchered your name there. I'm not used to this live streaming either. um, but yeah, I appreciate it. It's good to see you. Uh, so let's see. So this is the Lonely Mountain in the Hobbit movies, and if you could see at the bottom here, this is actually the main characters on a boat, and this is water down here, and they're going to this Lonely Mountain, which I don't think is an island, but what they're presenting it here, it's like an island because they're saying it's the North Pole Island. And then here you have the mist, and of course inside is the dragon guarding all the gold. So all this, like, the more I show you guys, the more it'll become apparent that like every story is the same thing. Like, and usually multiple times in the same story, they have like North Pole references. It's all about the North Pole. So like when you really want to break this symbolism down, just think about the twin pillars becoming the central pillar, in line with those chakra colors, and the North Pole mountain, the abyss below it, the blue beam shooting up from the abyss through the mountain up through the dome. And as Jay Dreamers has brought to everyone's attention, I think he's the first one, is the apex dome, which I find really interesting as well. So at the top of the dome above the North Pole Mountain, think of also there being a smaller inverted dome. And I'll just leave it at that for now. But that's what I mean when I'm talking about the apex dome. And then when I say dome, that just means the whole dome. And usually when you see a dome, it also references the North Pole because the North Pole is in the center. Um, and you'll usually see like a mountain under a dome, like the NordVPN symbol, things like that. Like Paramount, like when you see the Paramount Movies logo, it's like the mountain with the star dome. So this is other creative ways that Hollywood has to show us the North Pole Mountain, where it doesn't exactly look like a mountain, and a normie would never think it's a mountain. But what we have here, this is the movie Arrival, and it's this giant black, egg-looking ship. But this is Rupus Nigra. It's the mountain. You have the green land under it, and you have the mist, of course. And then what's at the top? They basically enter at the bottom. They go up, and then at the top of this ship, top of the mountain, is the Kraken aliens. And you're going to see how the Kraken is always at the top. I mean, it could be at the bottom too, but a lot of times it's at the top. It's gonna come. The Kraken's gonna come down eventually, soon. When the blue beam happens, the Kraken comes down. But right now, it's at the top. So this is the Lego movie. Again, you have the Dark Tower. These two things are the same thing. And at the top of this tower in the Lego movie, what do they have? They have the Craggle. And I'll be showing you guys this in more detail. I'm just kind of painting a picture right now. They have the Craggle, which is the Kraken at the top of the tower. What's this? It's the movie Venom from 2018. Same. It's like the same shot as the Lego. Like, so the Lego movie and Venom are just basically the exact same movies. Of course, most people wouldn't notice that. And at the top of the tower in Venom, this is actually the Needle Building in San Francisco. It's known as the Needle Building. And at the top is, of course, the Kraken. What do we have here? This is the tall black tower. Let me just say hi to some people. Sorry. There's a small line on Google Earth that shows Yes, I've seen that. That is very interesting for sure. Nice to see you, Francois. Yeah, I miss, doing shows with Brian too. Maybe my, live streams will encourage him to come back. They don't show these things over and over. Yeah, exactly, Matt. So this is the movie, Devil's Advocate, starring, Keanu Reeves, who, of course, is one of the biggest players. And this is the, tower that Al Pacino, works at or lives at, and he's the devil, and he's lives at the top of the tower. And, they pan down here, and it's called the Penta Plaza. Now, one trap that I think truthers fall into often is just assuming like a pentagram is bad. It depends on how it's oriented and what color it is. If you have a white star that's pointing up, that's good. If you have a black star that's pointing down, that's bad. Also, I won't get into this right now, but the P is good, and the PP like P is essentially a symbol for Christ. PP is the Antichrist because that's the devil. So whenever you see something with two P's like that, it's talking about the Antichrist or the devil. So this is when they're walking into the building. It's a law firm. It's called Milton Chadwick Waters, and here you have the split North Pole Mountain. So they're telling you that this building is the mountain. Uh, PayPal, not sure what that means. I'm not gonna be, accepting money, not at this time anyway. I don't plan on it, but thank you, if that's what you mean. Um, and here they walk in. Oh, gotcha, PayPal. Yeah, sure. For sure. Yeah, maybe. Um, so they show you the dome. And then whenever you see an X like this, in conjunction with other symbols, it's the North Pole because this is like the North Pole continent with the four islands or continents. And then these are the rivers that divide them. Hey, supernatural Bible changes. Good to see you. Yes, the symbolism is crazy. So yeah, I mean, like here, so they're saying, here's the PP, giant black tower. Here's the North Pole mountain, the split mountain, and here's the dome with the North Pole continent under it. This all happens within yeah, exactly. Don't worship the pee. That I mean, honestly, like their silly like sexual, innuendos and symbolisms and stuff, it's all based on this. Like the 69, that's why they got everyone to say 69 all the time. Because they want the six to replace the nine, or they want the six to become the nine. The same thing. Um And this is, of course, the Eye of Sauron in Lord of the Rings. So what you see here, this is the Vesca Pisces at the central pillar. This is the tall black tower that we just saw in those other movies, and this is the apex dome. And this is why they do the horn symbolism with their hands, their fingers, the index finger and the pinky finger. And I'll be showing you guys a ton of that stuff. Not that you haven't seen it before, but it's important to build the foundation. And this also showcases how they could show many different things in the same scene, but they all symbolize the North Pole. So, like at the North Pole, here you have like the Misty Mountain, which is basically a volcano. As Jay Dreamers puts it, it's a plasma volcano because out of this volcano will be shooting the blue beam in the future. And also, this is symbolic of the North Pole as well. So both these are, and there's other, and Saruman's tower is as well, and where the hobbits live is like paradise. So basically all these major stories, it's just constant symbolism of the North Pole in various different ways. Hey, happy coaster. Well, you're very welcome. I appreciate you being here. This is the show Under the Dome. These two kids find this smaller dome and they're inside of a huge dome that's covering their entire city. And when you see cities in movies, it's symbolic of the world, like the Matrix, the city in the Matrix, the Free Guy, Dark City. These are all. Whenever you see whenever something takes place in a city, it's basically just saying that this is the world. And this smaller dome they find, they pour water over it. So here you have the waters above the dome, and here they're washing the dirt away, and inside is a small black egg. And this is basically just like the scene that I showed you in Arrival. Hey, Lo Foten, good to see you. Uh, so this is like the scene in Arrival. Same thing. It's just on a smaller scale. But this is in the center of this dome, or this domed enclosure, is the giant black rock mountain in the center. This is Jurassic World. Um, this is the aviary for their flying dinosaurs. Of course, it's a giant dome. And I think this is from the video game, but this is something to keep in mind too. You'll often see a hexagon pattern to this dome. And I think that our dome has this as well. It could also be made out of up and down arrows. You can make these hexagons, and I see that oftentimes as well. Um, let's see. Nice to get you live. Yeah, then that's why it's the beehive also references the world as well. It looks like a beehive. So this is the end of the movie. These are the main characters. He's staring at the raptor. So this raptor, so he like trains raptors. It's a dumb movie. I'm not saying like it's a good movie or anything, but it's a huge movie. I think it might have been the biggest grossing movie of all time. Well, thank you, Tiffany. Right back at you. I love you guys too. um, so this guy like trains raptors, and he trained this raptor, and this raptor's name is Blue. And this raptor came and saved them when they were about to be killed. And so this raptor named Blue is the savior. And then at the end of the movie, it runs away and it runs right towards a pyramid with a blue beam shooting out of it that's in the center. Yes, it's just all right there. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it's in everything. And these are all like the biggest things. These aren't just some random movie that no one's ever heard of. So here is the third thing I'd like you guys to all keep in mind, and that is the kraken outside of the dome, and what will happen once the end of the world happens, which I think is going to be a good thing. I'm looking forward to it. Yes, the Simpsons movie is all about the dome for sure. I might even do like a special on that because or maybe I'll do like a few things. But yeah, that's a crazy one. Um, so the first thing was the Twin Pillars. The second one was the North Pole Mountain and all that, and the third one is the blue beam and the kraken outside of the dome. So here we have the character named Elle. Her full name is 11. Yes, I think so. Happy Coaster. Yeah, The Simpsons. Well, Matt Groening, yeah, he's definitely in the club, that's for sure, and so are the other producers, and writers. So L is the blue beam. Whenever you see a character named L, there are so many characters named L or Ellie or something like that. So she's right here where the blue beam would be. This is kind of like the dome, these lines behind her. Here we have like the plasma, and here we have the Kraken entity that I believe is outside of our dome, and it can't get in here until the blue beam erupts and breaks open the dome, and then the kraken comes down, and the kraken will likely form its army at that point, taking over the people who have likely been V'd and are antichrist in nature. And this I'll get back to Stranger Things season 2 because it's totally insane. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, I mean the Simpsons even has like a whole episode called the Stonecutters, which is like the Freemasons. Showed that already. Okay, so here is an example. I tried to like play some video when I did a test run of this, but the audio didn't really come through, so I'm not really sure about that. I'll have to look into that in the future. But anyway, these are clips from one of my videos. I wanted to show this little video clip and a few others, but maybe some other time. So we have the storm here playing out on the world stage. So Trump is over here on the left, but they're going to pan over to him, and Trump is saying, "Do you guys know what this represents?" And he has like a bunch of like military leaders and families at the White House, and the reporter goes, "Tell us, sir." He goes, "Maybe it's the calm before the storm." They go, "What's the storm?" And of course, I'm alluding to this happening on January 6th, 2021. So he goes, so he basically just ignores him because Trump is essentially a wizard. And I'm not just like saying that in jest. Like he's like the top of the food chain when it comes to people in the public eye and black magic wizards. That's why he walked in front of the Queen when he went to England because he's in charge. Like no one walks in front of the Queen unless you're above the Queen in the hierarchy. So I mean, this dude is the devil. Now is the devil much more of an entity than Trump? Yes, of course. But in terms of the world stage, Trump is the devil and essentially the Antichrist. And I'll be proving that in a number of ways. And he's the father of the V, which is the Antichrist that came out on the day of the Star of Bethlehem. And there's a lot. I'll be getting into all that. It's pretty intense. So he's just ignoring the reporter because he's putting a spell out there. He doesn't care what the reporters are saying. So uh, let me just check the chat here. Sheeple, yep. What I still can understand. Uh, I don't want to get off on too many tangents, but yeah, if you want to leave some things in the comments after, I'll definitely take a look. Um, yeah, I like Fittest Flat Earther. I don't agree with everything he's putting out there. He goes a little too far, but I like him. Yeah, we do. Yeah, Tiffany, for sure. Most people will definitely laugh, but that's fine. I mean, that's to be expected. And hopefully, some people who laugh at first will keep watching, and they will gradually stop laughing and start to say like, "Huh, there's something going on here." So yeah, so he's like, it could be the calm, it could be the calm before the storm. So that the news reporters are like, Iran, ISIS, what's the storm, Mr. President? And then he's just going on to do his, he's always dropping the 666 hand sign, and he's talking about how they have the world's great military leaders and all this stuff. And note that I put here exactly 3 years and 3 months later, what happened? So they're saying, "What storm, Mr. President?" And he literally says, "You'll find out," because he knows, because it's all scripted. Follow worship special. Yep. Yeah, it does take years and years, but hopefully, with these live streams that I'm going to be doing, it's kind of like a rush class or something for people, who are getting into the game late. Because I'm going to be showing some stuff, even how I started, back in like 2015 or so. Just watching some YouTube channels and like Russian vids and ODD TV and people like that, and learning a lot. Yeah, the news is ridiculous. So anyway, exactly 3 years, 3 months later, this happens. It's the storming of the dome. So here we have the dome, and there's a storm under the dome, and that's gonna be happening to the world, and it also happens within our own bodies because the dome is our head, and the storm happens when our pillars merge together because the right pillar is the ice pillar, the left pillar is the fire pillar. So when they merge, it creates a storm, like a spiritual storm. Well, with the red and blue tie, it could be that there's two Trumps. I wouldn't be surprised if he's twins. I don't know what happened to ODD TV, but his channel was awesome back in the day. So here you have people calling it a storm. So we have NBC News, storming. PBS writers stormed the Capitol. So they're basically just um, reinforcing this storm magic spell. And one thing you'll notice in pretty much all mainstream media is that there's a storm. There's a storm in almost everything, some kind of storm. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a lightning storm. It could be a tornado. It could be a sandstorm. There's other things, but there's always some kind of storm. In the movie Thunderbolts, they show a room and there's oh, nice. I haven't seen Thunderbolts, but I totally believe you because There's a kraken in everything too. Just it doesn't necessarily have to be like an octopus tentacle thing. It could also be like vines. Like they often do vines. There's a lot of that in Stranger Things. And anything that's like shaped like tentacles, like snakes, like the Hydra, the multi-headed dragon. That's all the same symbolism. And you can get into detail too. Like you could see like the Hydra is when it's in water, and then or the uh, kraken is when it's in water, and then the Hydra is kind of like when it comes out of water and it's evolving into it's more like dragon like state. But simplicity is it's all the kraken. Uh, yeah, there could be a thing with. I mean, with these big people like Trump, they always have body doubles, but I think they're you know going a little higher level. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump is actually two different people, and Biden was, of course, a bunch of different people, none of which were the actual Biden. So yeah, so getting so another, this is just another world script story. I just kind of wanted to paint a picture before I really get into some stuff. So this guy was, the twin. They made a big point out of this guy being like a twin, and he, of course, allegedly died in the Twin Cities. And then what do they show him next to the corona? I put this together a while back, so I guess, I mean, if this doesn't prove that this is all fake, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. So this was allegedly his second grade teacher, and the people who looked into this recognized this particular world stage actor as she was in several events that happened in the past, playing different roles. And this role, if you just pronounce her name without the W, you'll kind of see the ridiculous joke. And this whole thing is just a joke. It's ridiculous. So this event too, it pertains to all this symbolism because Las Vegas is another North Pole symbol. So one thing I've put forth in my videos is that New York City is a North Pole symbol. Washington D.C. is a North Pole symbol. Seattle is a North Pole symbol. Las Vegas, of course, is a North Pole symbol. Israel is a North Pole symbol, and I'm sure the capitals of most countries are symbolic of the North Pole. And what I mean by that is, well, Las Vegas is pretty over the top. Mandalay Bay kind of means the name Mandalay. It's something like being on the shore. So it's like you're and this is at the edge of Las Vegas, of the big casinos. So here you're at like the shore of the North Pole. Here you have the Black Pyramid, and they literally have a blue beam, I think it's blue, that shoots up from the top of this pyramid, which is so ridiculous. And then what you have when you have things shooting down, and I'm not saying this even happened, but of course, he's on this floor, which is symbolic in many ways, referencing, just prior to the capstone. Excuse me. So when you have a lot of things shooting down, that's the kraken. So it's like kraken tentacles shooting down, and so this is essentially like a kraken attack on the Route 91. I think this happened on October 1st. So it was 91101. So it's referencing September. So I'm just saying I'll get it more into Las Vegas in the future, but all just whenever there's a major event in the news, it's funny, they even have like the twin pillars here. But whenever there's a major event in the news, just think about all this symbolism. I wouldn't say the blue beam is Polaris, but it would shoot up to Polaris. I think Polaris is probably the apex dome. But yeah, Russian vids, or yeah, as someone mentioned, he's now They Live Truth. Um, yeah, he's talked a lot about Polaris, but I don't think he really knows about the blue beam. It would be cool if he started checking that out. And I'll be showing a ton of blue beam stuff, and Jay Dreamers also has a ton of stuff, and Jay Dreamers is actually where I learned about the blue beam in the first place. So yeah, so we have this whole Israel thing with them versus Iran. What do they have over Israel? Oh, it's a dome. What a surprise! And Iran, um, this is like the Kraken attack on the dome again. And man, I wish I could play you guys a video. When I was trying to play video before, there wasn't any audio coming through. So I have a news clip where this woman actually says Iran is like the octopus with the tentacles attacking Israel. So it's a CNN clip, and it's just the symbolism is just so ridiculous. All right, so iPet Goat 2. I assume everyone's familiar with this. I actually saw this right when it came out, pretty much back in like 2012, I think. The rapture is a psyop. You do not want to flow it up. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I have a feeling that God is going to protect his people, so I'm not really worried about the end of the world, to be honest. um, iPet Goat 2. So these are symbolic of the needles. And what did the needles do? They bombed the dome. And what comes out of the dome is the kraken tentacles. And then here we have the city, which is symbolic of the world. And the kraken tentacles come out over a dome shape, attacking the city. And I'll be talking a lot about iPet Goat too. I know what most of the symbolism in that means, and most people don't. No offense to them, but a lot of people are wrong about what's in that video. And you can think I'm wrong too. That's fine. So here, I guess I'm going to show. Okay, yeah. So Avengers: Infinity War. This was obviously one of the biggest movies. Blue beam shooting out of the dome. Christ pose. Hey Andrew, good to see you. So this happens in Infinity War. Dome over the city, Kraken attack hitting the dome. And see, like this is like I was saying in the Las Vegas event, just like these. Whenever you see these shooting, pillars of smoke, it's the Kraken. And here's where they're hitting the dome from the inside. And this dome is hexagons too. This isn't really a good picture of it. I have other stuff. Um, but yeah, the domes in the Avengers movies and the Marvel movies, they're all hexagon. Phantom Menace. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So this is like the dome here. He's like the Kraken. It's not as obvious as other ones, but they do have that there. Oh, this is more obvious. Here we got the dome, the pillars, blue beam, Kraken over the dome. This was, I guess they re-released it in 2024. One thing you'll notice too, as time goes on, this symbolism gets more and more specific. So the movies that have come out in the last 10 or 20 years are way more heavily symbolic than the ones in the past, even though you can find all this stuff in the ones in the past. Um, just the stuff that's been coming, it's just been ramping up all the symbolism. So here, this is the Kraken army in the Phantom Menace. Whenever you see like a robot hive mind type of army, that's the Kraken army. And here they're shooting things out of these tanks. And what are they shooting? They're shooting the domes. Now there's multiple domes. I mean, like every movie and TV show and stuff isn't going to show you the exact same thing, but they are going to show you the same basic symbolism. And Star Wars is obviously huge. And here, what do we see? So this is from iPet Go 2. This is the dome, and this is the Kraken attack, the tentacle. The Kraken on the screen is attacking the dome, or you could say the devil or whatever. And what happens? This is God, sending Jesus, sending the Holy Spirit, however you want to see it, down to towards us from higher dimensions through the screens. And then the Jesus figure comes and blows fire in at us, into us. And what gets hit with the fire? It's this shape, which I think is a combination of the pineal gland or pineal organ and the uvula in our throat. So it's basically like saying, yeah, please like and share the stream, guys. I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Brian. Um, so this is what God's lighting on fire inside of us: our pineal glands and our throat chakra, essentially, because we're supposed to be speaking the truth, telling people about the truth, and if they don't get it, they don't get it. But this is Jesus being born, inside of us, essentially. So here we have the initial classroom sequence. These things definitely. So you have Bush, of course, doing the devil horns. Here's like the brainstorm, the dragon. But these I'm more interested in this stuff for now. A lot of people don't really know what this shark symbolizes. I actually I mean, the Holy Spirit told me what this means, and then I was watching Enter the Stars, and he was talking about it too. So that was like confirmation because I think he's an awesome channel too. Definitely, check him out if you don't know about him. Um, but it was really interesting because like I had just had this like epiphany, and then like a couple days later, I saw him talking about it too. Yes, Brian, the shark is CV, and I'll be going over that. This is the burning house. In almost every instance of mainstream media, you'll see a burning house, and it's all about our spiritual evolution. And the people who don't, complete it, die, spiritually and physically, perhaps. But physical death isn't something to worry about. It's spiritual death that's much, much worse. So here we have, they're basically saying that all these puppets are the same. And here we have the Alice in Wonderland character. Now, this is essentially God or Jesus. Here you have, the white, blue, and yellow. She's holding the apple. Now, one thing to consider too is there's a lot of passages. I don't know if I have it. There's a lot of passages in the Bible about us being the apple of God's eye. So in this case, the apple represents us, and she's on the checkerboard floor with these people, of course. Um, the barbed wire. This generally means like a sacrifice when you see red, like the blood on the dance floor type of thing. So God, this is essentially God sacrificing himself. And I know it's a girl, it's a feminine energy. God is of course above gender. Sacrificing himself for us, like we're the apple. So what happens? So okay, I'm not sure exactly where this is going to go, but very similar to Alice in Wonderland. Okay, so just showing the same symbolism here. You have the white, blue, and the yellow. Columbia is the same thing. This is essentially the blue beam and the eternal flame. And Columbia, whenever you see this, this references the blue beam. So this is essentially the column of Yah, the column of God. So what do I have? I guess I have a bunch of stuff here. I put this together a while ago. Sorry. So this is from the movie Dark City. This is essentially the Christ character. He's got yellow and blue, and the whole movie is pretty much dark colors. Um, and he's the one who inspires and helps John, the main character. Whenever you see the name John, that's like the right pillar, the Christ-like character, and this is like the Holy Spirit, influencing and helping John. And he oh, the steps? Well, the steps, I mean, this is like the pyramid, so this is like the mountain, and then the blue beam is shooting up out of the top of the mountain. This all represents the plasma apocalypse at the North Pole, before, during, and after. Um, so yeah, and then now one thing to keep in mind too, this is the movie The Faculty. I guess I don't have the poster. Oh, here's the poster. So look at the poster for The Faculty. First of all, I'm pretty sure this is a Mandela Effect. This used to just be a normal A, and the school represents the building. Whenever you see like buildings can represent the mountain. Like whenever you see like a castle, it's like the North Pole mountain, and here's the blue beam shooting up. Like, why would there be a blue beam in The Faculty? Like this movie has nothing to do with this. And also, when the blue beam goes up, it's very likely that the sky will turn red. So things will like invert from where they are now. So here we have the red dome, the blue beam. But going back to this, spoilers, but this girl is the Kraken. Essentially, she's the imposter, and she's got the blue and yellow coloring. So when you see blue and yellow, it doesn't necessarily mean the Christ character. It could be the Antichrist character acting as an imposter, and vice versa. You could have a Christ character wearing like a red and black costume, like in if you've seen the miniseries V, the aliens have like red and black uniforms, which is symbolically fitting of what they are because they're Antichrist pushing the V on people. Um, and they're but like the good character has to infiltrate into their world. So the good character, who's the yellow and blue, I think I remember that he wears the red and black, so you have to use your own discernment as to what's going on. And this is, what what she looks like when she's not being an imposter. And of course, it's the Kraken. And this might just seem like some random horror movie, but it's not. It's a definitely a significant piece of world script media. It's got a huge cast of people you'd recognize, like Elijah Wood and Josh Hartnett, and it's made by Robert Rodriguez. Huge budget, and it's all about the kraken, taking over. It's a body snatcher movie, and one thing that I never realized was just how big the body snatchers stuff is. Um, the body snatchers thing is just one of the biggest things to keep in mind. It's in everything practically, like the Matrix, for instance. The Matrix is a body snatcher movie. Not that's not like the main point of it, but the people who are, quote unquote, asleep in pods are able to be body snatched by the agents, whenever they want. All right, so this girl, you might remember her. She was allegedly killed. I of course don't believe any of it. Um, Her name is actually an anagram for I Pet Goat. So if you just call her Gab Petito, Gab is short for Gabby or Gabriella. So you have, IPET, GOAT. And why that's significant is because she's like, that same Alice in Wonderland character, but this is happening on the world stage in the news. And here, she was in a lot of very symbolic photos. Here you have, like, whenever you see butterflies, that's symbolic of evolution inside of a cocoon. The dome that we're in is essentially a cocoon, and so is our body. We're basically like in a spiritual cocoon, and that's what this evolution is all about. It's like a test. And here, she is literally holding this thing that looks just like that. So I mean, this isn't so her name is an anagram for I Pet Goat too. And, also, I think I left the B off of the Gab Petito, but the B is a 2 if you do alphanumerics. So it's literally like her name is I Pet Goat too. So this whole thing was ridiculous. And also, let's see, Gabby Petito. Yeah, so reported missing on September 11th. I mean, it's all just a script. This didn't happen. So, like, all the people who invested all this, time and energy and emotion and trauma and all that, it's all over nothing essentially because this is just a totally fake story, of course. So what happens, going back to this scene, this is like the Christ sacrifice for us. We're the apple of God's eye. She essentially falls over and dies. The apple rolls across the floor, splits open. This is our twin pillars, our two eyes, and what grows in the middle, this is our third eye. And I know a lot of people like get triggered over the third eye thing, but it is what it is. It's in everything, and I think it's in the Bible as well. Like when I think Jesus says to see with one eye singularly, and then he even talks about how when we have this one eye, it's either filled with light or filled with darkness, which is what the pineal gland or pineal organ sees is light and darkness. And this lotus flower, lotuses grow in a squared circle. It's like a mandala. Um, and the coloring also is important. I mean, I don't want to get too into it, but so like a lot of people said this was Kamala Harris. Obviously, that makes no sense, even though her name does mean lotus, but she's the symbolic black lotus, if you know what I mean, the black female lotus. And she lost to the Christ figure. But I'm not saying Trump is good, but he is definitely a Christ figure on the world stage. And I think he's the Antichrist, of course. So here we have Obama being worried. People look into this, it could be like a sexual thing. It also, to me, it looks like it's coming out of his like third eye area too. So it's almost like his oil is draining dry, that type of thing. So anyway, this is outside the window of where that classroom is, and this is really interesting. I learned this from Enter the Stars. The Bible verse is an ME about the lamp of the body, which is definitely in there now. Oh, interesting. Yes, yeah. I only read the Bible for the first time in 2018, so I'm not an expert on what was in the Bible or not. But it's definitely there now. Like you said, if it's a Mandela effect, that's actually really interesting. So this is really, really interesting. And like I said, I learned this from Enter the Stars, and then notice the colors. And what does this say? So like it actually says DONALD. So this is literally in a very esoteric, hidden way showing Donald with the Christ colors. and they're saying, Bush, Obama, this dude. And here's Psalm 23 for anyone interested in knowing exactly what that is. I don't want to get too far off. I mean, there's obviously a lot to look at, but I just wanted to show this in case anyone wanted to pause it and just check it out. So then after that, they showed this, and this was like pretty much like when I first saw iPet Goat 2 back in like 2012, this was like the only thing that really resonated with me, and the rest of it was just kind of like it was interesting, but I didn't really understand a lot of it. Of course, Bush and Obama being like puppets, that's obvious. There's some obvious things, but for the most part, none of it really made sense. But then over the years, I watch it again and again, and I hear people talk about it, and now like it almost all makes sense. Um, and they even show you could see these little plumes. They're telling you that it was a controlled demolition. And then this character, this is who I think basically made iPet good too. I'll get into that in the future, but he's like this is like Lucifer basically. I think iPet Go too is basically made by the devil. And in a weird way, I think the devil wants people like us to know the truth because the kraken isn't going to be unleashed onto the earth until the blue beam shoots up and destroys the dome, and that's not going to happen until there's a massing of Christ's people. So the God and the devil kind of need each other to do these things. Not that God needs anything, but it is what it is. Um, so yeah, interestingly enough, too, right after the September event in New York, they discovered and started studying crystals inside of our pineal glands or pineal organs. And what are the odds of that? That this just happened right after that? So I kind of feel like this was like the beginning of the end of the world, and this was the start of this spiritual awakening. Like I think these crystals probably were there before, but the studying and this, you know, um, discovery and stuff, it happened pretty much right after the event in September in 2001. So let's see. I think I did have some. I mean, this is I don't know if I want to get too into all this. If Christ rising, uh, I mean, this is like the blue beam rising, destroying the Kraken army of the dead. Um, it looks also like the Space Needle in Seattle, that type of imagery. And this is interesting too. So this is like the Mother Mary figure, the dead Christ child. This is the North Pole Mountain with the atom bomb happening on top, and this is like the spiraling storm portal. And then what happens is beetles are symbolic of resurrection. So whenever you see like a beetle in something, it's symbolic of resurrection. And this Christ child is reborn essentially. And then he rises up and spirals up like the blue beam. He comes out of this hole in this mountain, like at the North Pole, and he spirals up and he goes up to the full moon. And one thing I've learned from Jay Dreamers also is when you see the full moon or the sun, it could also be symbolic of the apex dome because the moon and the sun are basically projections from that apex dome. So a lot of times when you see a full moon in something, just think of the apex dome. And of course, it would be right over the center of the world. And that's where Christ's blue beam is rising. Now, you might say, why isn't there blue and yellow coloring on this child? Well, look at the tower that's right behind him. This is the blue beam, the tunnel entrance into the underworld, yellow, blue, it's right there. It's just it's hidden, but that's the blue beam and iPad Goat too, for sure. Then here's Christ being reborn into the world. These lotus flowers follow him. This is like us, the enlightened people that are rising above the water. I also think that these are representative Mandela effects because I think Jesus is doing them. Let's see. Yeah, I definitely recommend rewatching Dark City for sure. Sorry if I missed anything in the chat. I was kind of trying to think of what to say there. Yeah, I think Trump will. I think they're gonna. They actually are gonna rebuild that third temple, and Trump's gonna go into it and do something that's akin to, calling himself God or sitting on a throne or something. And it'll probably be something ridiculous. Like I wouldn't be surprised, if he makes some kind of a mockery out of it because he's he's the Antichrist. Um, But yeah, so a lot of people think this is like sinister. I get that he looks sinister. I mean, for starters, I think the devil made Ipeco too, so he's not going to like portray Jesus looking like super nice. But Jesus is also supposed to come back as a destroyer, and he has eyes of fire, And then now he's free. Um, he's got the and the all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye. Of course, it's associated with Saturn and negative stuff, but I mean, God has the ultimate all-seeing eye. The devil's all-seeing eye is just a cheaper facsimile. And then, of course, Jesus, when he returns, he brings about the destruction of the world and the church. Revelation. What was it? Oh, I guess I just wanted to point this out. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and his head had many crowns. So, um, there's the crowns, halos. There's a lot going on. So yeah, this is shooting. Oh, so Heliofont. This is the group of people or whatever who made this, and you have the big O. So here's your eclipse in the center, interestingly enough. And then the I gets dotted, and the dot of the I moves over. Now, when you see this type of symbolism with a big O and a small o, this is the Jupiter Saturn conjunction. And what the Jupiter Saturn conjunction is the Star of Bethlehem. And the Star of Bethlehem happened in 2020, and it was the exact date that one of the major V's came out, and the other V came out just like a week before it too. So um, you'll see this symbolism a lot. You also hear the conjunction mentioned a lot if you're looking for it in world script media, and that's another piece of major evidence that shows that the V is the Antichrist because Jesus was born under the Star of Bethlehem, and then they have the V being released or born under the Star of Bethlehem as well. Now, this is interesting. Do I have it? Yeah. Okay. So it's called, it's by Louis Lefebvre. This is basically a nickname for the devil as far as I'm concerned. Whenever you see L, it's God, kind of like the P I was talking about. And whenever you see LL, I think it's the double, so that's the devil. And Lefebvre means smith, and Louis means like a famous warrior. Um, I guess I didn't get too into that, but Smith, it's like I was gonna mention like Agent Smith also, but I guess I get into that at a different time. Hey, Big Kush, what's up, man? Let's see here. Very interesting. Oh wow. Yeah, I mean, it could be, but it could also be prophetic. Some dreams I've had, they just don't feel like normal dreams. They seem like prophecies, even if they're not, exact or whatever. But I've had a few dreams that they didn't feel like normal dreams, and I remembered them extremely well when I woke up. And like I've dreamed about like pillars shooting up from the ground, and I've had a few interesting ones like that. All right, so going back to this Tanuki project, I thought this was the Japanese word for raccoon, but it's actually a little more nuanced. It's the Japanese raccoon dog. But whenever you see raccoon, this is symbolic of corona because it's an anagram for corona, and this is also a Mandela effect because the word raccoon definitely used to have just one C. So there's probably other meaning in this than what I'm about to say, but I think that God added an extra C here to break some of the devil's magic spells on us. And it could be that we're able to see what we're able to see now because God has broken a lot of these magic spells over the years. Because like here you have like Resident Evil, which is like this huge video game and movie series, and it takes place in Raccoon City, which is Corona City, and the whole thing is of course about the V and turning people into zombies essentially. See, and the company that does it is the Umbrella Corporation. So whenever you see an umbrella, that's symbolic of the dome, also. And red and white is symbolic of chaos, in my opinion. And you also usually see black umbrellas, and that's like the black dome. Like in the show Under the Dome, the whole dome turns black. You'll see that a lot, and that's like the black goo invading the dome, essentially. Nice. Oh, okay, so here I do have it. Okay, so, when Smith I think this is the second Matrix movie. When Smith pulls up in his car, the license plate is IS 5416. So if you go to Isaiah 54:16, it says, "Behold, I have created the smith to bloweth the coals in the fire, and I have created the waster to destroy." Now there is some discrepancy on to whether or not this is the same if the smith is the waster, um, but Smith in the Matrix is definitely the destroyer, so I think they are the same, and I think that that is, essentially who made, I Pick Goat too. And then, Psalms, 25:19 says, "Consider my enemies, for they are many, and they hate me with cruel hatred." So this is essentially talking about the Smith army or the Kraken army, the army of the dead. And when he's walking towards this door, we see this here. It says Muse 25:19. So Muse is like music or Psalms 25:19. And then we have Smith's shadow encroaching on this door here. Okay, so this is the third Matrix. So this character's name is Bane, and he's in reality, but Smith has actually entered this guy's body and is this guy now. So he's, an imposter, and you'll see, like, imposters in almost everything, and he's artificial intelligence, antichrist, and an imposter, and the word imposter is also a Mandela effect because it was always TER, and now the main spelling of imposter is OR, but ER is also still a possibility. Now that could be just because so many people still say ER, but it could also be that it's like, kinda like a joke almost, where it's like the word imposter now has an imposter, that type of a thing. And like I said, the individual letters, they all do mean something. So, like this is the corona, the crown, the portal. So yeah, Smith enters Neo's world as an imposter and ends up blinding him. Sorry if my voice is nasally. I'm not too healthy, and my nose is stuffed up and swollen and all that. Let's see. So what Smith actually did, it looks like he blinded Neo, but he actually, awakened his third eye. So now Neo doesn't need his normal eyes to see, he sees with one eye, like the Bible says. Then the storm, because there's a storm in everything. And then they're essentially the twin pillars. Neo is the right pillar, of course, and Smith is the left pillar. And you could consider them being like the same person, essentially. And they dance. The word dance is used a lot in mainstream media and in the Mandela Effect. And to dance essentially means to fight. Like if you're like dancing with swords, that type of a thing. People will often say like, "Let's dance," before a fight. And then this fight also moves from the storm to inside of a house because the house is our temple. So this is symbolic of the twin pillars fighting inside of the temple. So Neo is plugged into the mainframe. That mainframe of robots, it had some kind of the machine mainframe. So whenever you see the that's symbolic of Mount Meru, which is the North Pole Mountain. So Neo is plugged into the North Pole Mountain, and since he's plugged into the North Pole Mountain, he has nothing to fear. So he lets Smith take him over, essentially, or think he's taking him over. So you have all this black goo going over Neo because that's how Smith takes people over, is with the black goo. And this is like the marriage of the twin pillars. But the thing that Smith doesn't realize is that Neo is plugged in to the North Pole Mountain. So if you're plugged into the North Pole Mountain, you don't have to worry about the Kraken because you're going to be stronger than the Kraken because you'll have God's backing. God's obviously stronger than the Kraken. I think the Kraken is also the Leviathan that they talk about in the Book of Job. Um, so God talks in that too about how he's you know the only one able to control the Leviathan. So here you have the eclipses. These are eclipses. You could even say they're like dual eclipses or many eclipses. Okay, here, so he's plugged into the source, the mainframe, the machine mainframe, Mount Maria. Let me just check out the chat. I think the darkness has been manifesting all this stuff with our. I don't think that our thoughts manifest the world script. Um, it's a little I don't kinda wanna delve into that right now, but, for instance, if our thoughts, manifested the world, then we would be living on a globe, and all the moon stuff would be all, like, the moon landings and stuff, that would all be real because most people believe that that's real. So I don't think our thoughts manifest the world. Neo's you can manifest things into your life, of course, but I don't think they pertain to the world script. Neo's spirit is now so powerful that he turns Smith's darkness into light. So, Smith thought that he was winning, but he actually lost because that's essentially what you have to do with the left pillar. So, like, the left pillar is like the murderer, like the devil was a murderer from the beginning. So the left pillar always wants to kill the right pillar, and that's having spiritual death, which is the worst thing possible, which is many people in this world. um, but the right pillar doesn't want to kill the left pillar because the right pillar isn't a murderer. But what the right pillar can do is essentially kill the left pillar with kindness or goodness or light. So if the right pillar's light is so powerful, it will overwhelm the left pillar. And that's essentially how you become a complete evolved person. You have to have your right pillar and your light strong enough to take on the kraken. I think on a microscopic level, we actually all have the kraken inside of us in some level, even if you didn't take the V. I think it's just kind of out there and like the what do they call it? Like when people like uh what's the word? Um like shedding the shedding thing. I think that was actually real. But it's nothing to worry about. If you're strong enough and you're bright enough, it doesn't matter. It's actually helping you. The Kraken helps us evolve. We wouldn't be able to evolve without it. So this is showing the North Pole. It's like this. Whenever you see like this type of a star, this is the Star of Bethlehem. This is the circular North Pole area lighting up. See here, you have the X, and throughout the movie, let me just check here. His boyfriend. Oh yeah, the Brian Laundrie. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yes, her Gabby Petito's boyfriend was named Brian Christopher Laundrie. That's just so all this these news stories are so ridiculous. So this guy actually calls Neo his own personal Jesus Christ. Here, whenever you see one eye being focused on, it could definitely be referencing the apex dome, the all-seeing eye, but I think it matters which eye is which. So it wouldn't make any sense for them to show the right eye for this guy because he's the destroyer. So they showed the left eye. And here we have the cracked mirror between worlds. You'll almost always see some kind of cracked mirror symbolism in these. Um, pods, cocoons. They're in almost every single world script piece of media. The tentacles in almost every single piece of world script media. Here we have the Kraken spy. This robot is using its antenna here to spy on people. Here we have the spider kraken. Whenever you see a spider, it's symbolic of the kraken. Anything with like multiple legs and multiple, tentacles, things like that. Crabs can be sometimes. That's all symbolic of the kraken. And of course, these are pieces of the hive mind kraken. So here's Smith taking someone over just to show you guys. This is also a Mandela effect, by the way. I think it means that Smith is like the negative charge of the battery, and Neo's the positive. But there could be some other explanations there. There's a lot of Dash related Mandela effect. But that this was definitely. I was a huge fan of The Matrix. I saw the first movie a couple times in the theater, and the other ones in the theater as well. There wasn't this. Tie clip. It looks really crazy in certain scenes. So Smith takes people over with the black goo tentacles. So same symbolism with everything. He takes them over, and this is basically creating soldiers in the Kraken army of the dead, and this is the army that will advance on the camp of the saints. Yes, there's a cracked mirror in the beginning of Dark City for sure. So here he's basically taking over. This is Smith, the Antichrist character, taking over the God character, the Oracle. But this is again like God's sacrifice for our evolution. So yeah, this is the Oracle. She's essentially the God character, and he's the the architect, essentially the devil character. Whenever you see anyone with like a lot of screens like this is symbolic of the all-seeing eye. So here at the end of the third movie, uh, oh sorry, oh yes, there's a fish tank for sure. The fish tank is symbolic of our world as well, or the dome. And here at the end, this is the third Matrix movie. I think it's called Revolutions, and I didn't even notice this or care about it really when I first saw the movie. But when I rewatched these movies a few years ago, I was like, "Whoa, they're like Zion is literally in a giant dome," and then you have the kraken coming down, breaking through the dome, and coming into here. So, and I don't think I have a picture of it here, but I do have it in a lot of my recent video a couple of my recent videos. There's actually let's see. This actually was a blue beam before it was destroyed in the movie. So they have the blue beam going up into the center of the dome and then the Kraken fight and the storm and everything. I mean, it's all just the same symbolism. So, why is, the Lego movie, The Matrix, Venom, The Devil's Advocate, you could go to G-rated children's movies all the way to like the worst, hardcore R-rated movies, and they all have the same exact symbolism. And then after this fight, after Neo sacrifices himself, they have a period of peace. Sorry, just checking out the chat. I forget who directed the Truman Show actually. Uh, hey, what's up, Juan? Good to see you. So yeah, kind of want to kind of wanted to get through these images a little quicker. I guess it was a little more than I thought. So this looks like, it's bad, like Neo died and he's doing the Christ pose here and it's all dark and depressing. But then when they show what Neo is seeing through his third eye vision, essentially, it's like this beautiful golden lotus thing, and he's returning to the source because this whole thing was symbolic of us rising, in our Christ likeness to go back to Christ and to paradise. And in order to do that, Neo had to evolve and sacrifice himself. That doesn't necessarily mean we have to physically sacrifice ourselves, but that could certainly happen. It's definitely better to do that than to take the V or whatever. Yes, the dome is the firmament. And as far as the firmament goes, there might be like several layers to it. I kind of think that there are, but um, symbolically, you'll usually just see like the one dome. Yeah, the Tanuki project. They actually have a really interesting video too called like Money Snake with Trump in it. It's pretty interesting. There's a lot of symbolism there too. All right, so I'll just go through these real quick. I know you guys have seen all these before, but when I'm talking about the world being scripted, people who are new to this idea, they're one of the big questions would be like, well, how could the whole world be scripted? Wouldn't there have to be like millions of people in on it? So, I'll just quickly go through a lot of these images that I got from channels like ODD TV and Russian Vids, who's now They Live Truth, and A Call for an Uprising, and some channels like that. So, 666 hand sign, all these entertainers, you guys have seen all these. If you want to pause the screen at any of them, feel free. This is interesting too. I just added this in. So here's the Beatles doing, the 666 and the devil horns, and they're holding this yellow submarine. And this is actually residue for how it used to be, because this is Mandela affected, and now the top of it is white, and you have these colors too. So this is almost like a third eye type of thing going on. So I haven't gotten too into this, but it's definitely a Mandela effect. So here, you'll see triple sixes everywhere if you look for it. The first Apple computer cost 666. This guy's big time Freemason. And like it's like a joke, he said, "Oh, we sold it for 666 because we like repeating digits." It's ridiculous. So yeah, here he is, happily showing you his Freemason regalia. Here's Joe Biden doing a town hall where he has to put the 666 over his left eye like a total psychopath. And who this could be, like Jim Carrey in a mask. Like, who even knows who this is? Yeah, see, so like if you think this is all the same person, then you have some issues with facial recognition. his different earlobes, just showing you some things about how the world is scripted. These aren't real people. This guy Drake means dragon. He put 666 in his hair. This is from a movie, Forbidden Planet. This is actually Leslie Nielsen back in the day, and so they're meeting, the AI robot alien, and they're all lined up with their 666 hats. So we got Jim Carrey. His name is Mandela Affected, by the way. It used to just be one R, but the mask is obviously a huge symbol. And Jim Carrey's in a ton of. He's a huge world script. He's like Keanu Reeves level, and they always want to associate the 666 with the mask. Uh, Nick at Night. This is like a witch. They're doing the 666. The code to get into the briefcase in Pulp Fiction was 666. Here's Tom Cruise, another huge world scripter. His name means twin cross, so he's like the double cross, doing the 666 in Vanilla Sky with the mask. So this is the same thing as that. They're associating the mask with 666. Denzel seems like a cool guy, all part of the club. 66 great looks. This dude, Donald Glover, you know, and this is what he's got on the back of his suit. Dwayne Wade, Trump, of course, Jackie Chan, Beyonce. You got the black and white. It's kind of like black taking over the white. Because these people are obviously all left pillar oriented. All seeing eye, CBS. It's Elvis, everyone's favorite entertainer. 666. Here's Eyes Wide Shut. This is Tom Cruise again. This guy is basically the I don't know if he was like the mastermind, the guy in the I forget. It's been a while since I've seen this, but he's trying to explain to Tom Cruise that nothing really happened at the event that he went to, where all the elite people were wearing masks and possibly sacrificing people and all that. And he gives him the old double 666 while he's saying that everything is totally normal. Lady Gaga on Sesame Street, everything's totally normal. Here we go. This isn't just some random billboard. It's Head Start program. You got to associate the 666 with the V because it is. Kevin Spacey, obviously, Lil Wayne, the astronauts that everyone trusts. Same pose. Justin Timberlake. Here we have CERN. I think this is also a Mandela effect. This statue used to be more in this pose, if I remember correctly. I'm not like 100% on it, but this is how I remember it. And this is also GOAT. You got the goat thing, and this this painting, it's more like this new pose, and it's like standing on a person. I don't remember that either, and a lot of people have similar memory there. And of course, you got the 666 and the CERN logo. Uh, Shiva, the god of destruction. So this dude, uh, he died on August 10th, 20. Oh, so obviously he didn't die, just in case you thought that was real. But he died allegedly on August 10th, 2019, and he was born on January 20th, 1953. And that works out to 66 years and 6 months. So if you think any of that stuff that's going on right now is real, think again. It's all just a distraction and a bunch of nonsense that no one's going to get in trouble for. Here's David Lynch. He was one of my favorite directors, but unfortunately, I do think that he is evil. He pushed this transcendental meditation on people, and this was actually a really big deal in Hollywood. They don't really talk about it much, but they pretty much all do this. And basically, what it is they say a mantra, and the mantra calls upon like a demon. Essentially, it's like a demon's name, and then that demon will give them strength and energy and creativity and stuff like that, so they could be better at their jobs in Hollywood. And this is just like some kind of weird. And I'm not saying there isn't any truth to this either. There's always truth in these types of things, but it's leading people astray to be demon possessed. And just in case you didn't know this, I'm a huge David Lynch fan, so I've seen all his films and Twin Peaks and his short films, and this was his first major short film. and it's called Six Men Getting Sick Six Times. So 666. And he put it out there to get money investment for Eraserhead, which was his first movie. So what I think this is essentially is he's basically saying, "Hey, I'm evil. Are there any other evil people out there who want to push black magic on people and give me money to do it?" You know, and then someone was like, "Yeah, sure. Here's a bunch of money. I'm also evil." That's basically how this went down, I assume. So that's funny. So yeah, unfortunately, I mean, like, I recommend watching his stuff, especially like Mulholland Drive and Twin Peaks. You can get a lot of truth in it, but they usually end very disturbingly and darkly. Like the first Twin Peaks series ends extremely darkly. Maybe I'll get into it another time, but I mean, spoiler, but like the main character essentially fails in the Black Lodge and gets possessed by the devil, and the main character also is symbolic of the audience. So that's basically David Lynch putting the you know casting a spell on the audience to have them become demon possessed or antichrist. And then they came out with the new Twin Peaks The Return, which, spoiler, the Laura Palmer character. Hey Donut, what's up, man? Good to see you. The Laura Palmer character, she's like the Christ character basically. And at the end of the show, it's basically just her screaming because uh, f- she's lost all her memories, and then she gets back to her original house, and the devil is still living in her house, and then that's how the show ends. And it's just extremely negative. I think David Lynch was pretty evil, even though he seemed like a cool guy and funny and all that. I mean, this is some twisted stuff. Sorry, I just want to check out this thing in the chat. Hellraiser Bloodlines. Oh, nice. Yeah, I actually, have seen the Hellraiser or some of the Hellraiser movies, but, it was a long time ago, so I'd have to rewatch that. But, yeah, the Hellraiser stuff definitely comes into play, especially with, Pinhead too. Pinhead is like it's like a combination of like the CV ball, but also with the needles. All right, so this just in case anyone thought this was real, this whole thing was like loaded with 666s, and I'll just quickly go over them. And I won't even make comments about the individual people really, but I'll just state some factual things, and you guys can come to your own conclusions. So this was a photo that these people took when they were in Antarctica, and I kind of do think that they went to Antarctica. Why they would take this photo, and I'm sorry to subject you guys to this photo, but it's obvious symbolism in my opinion, to the point of ridiculousness. So these were the two big flat earthers that went. The guy on the left, his name is Jaron Campanella, and the guy on the right is named Austin Whitsitt. Um, Here is a live stream that Whitsitt posted. This was when he was doing the breathing thing, which, which I don't think just proves that they went to Antarctica or anything, but it did prove that he was lying about this breathing thing. But I just wanted to point out that he even named his live stream "One Small Step for Man, One Giant Leap for Flat Earth." Right. So this they are purposefully tying this to the moon landing. There's no other explanation for this phrase. And when they got off the plane, one of them even said, "One small step for man, one giant leap for humanity," or flat Earth, or whatever they said. So they're definitely tying this to the moon landing. So just keep that in mind. So Apollo 11 happened between July 16th, 69, and July 24th, 69. So from that time to the time these guys were in Antarctica, it was 665 months, meaning that the month that they got back and started telling everyone that the world is a globe, like Jaron did, was the 666th month. Now you might think that's a coincidence, so let's keep going. NASA was founded July 29th, 1958. And when they were in Antarctica, it just happened to be the 66th year anniversary of NASA. Now, maybe someone could say that's a coincidence. So here's Jeranism doing some live streams from Antarctica. And this shows that while he was in Antarctica doing live streams, he just happened to do his 666th video. It's a little strange. It was the next video. I don't have a screenshot of the 666 one, but I'll explain this a little further. His 666th video was the one where he said, "Oh, it's a globe." Like that. He waited for that video to proclaim that now he's a glober. And then what he did, he erased several videos from his channel. So he went back to 663 or something like that. And if you want to see this more documented, there's a channel called King Nico who put a lot of videos out at this time. And he has all this information in his videos. And I'm sure other people do too. So Jaren went pre 666 now. So he's like literally double dipping here. So when he came back and did this stream on January 2nd with Witsit to answer people's questions, it was again his 666th video. So this guy had two 666 videos. His first one was when he was in Antarctica saying that, oh my God, the world's a globe. He's been wrong for 10 years or whatever. And then his second 666 video was when these two collabed again for the first time when they got back. So, what are the odds of that? Now, Jaren was in a movie called Behind the Curve. And this is him in the movie. I didn't see this movie because it's obviously a waste of time and a bunch of nonsense. But I've seen these clips on other people's channels, and I've seen this video where Jaren does this ridiculous experiment. So in this movie, he does this experiment where he fails and basically proves the Earth's a globe, you know, according to them. So the question would be, why would you ever do an experiment in a documentary and not even practice it before you do it? Like if somebody was telling me, hey, we want you to be in a documentary and we want you to do this experiment, I would say, oh, okay. Um, how about give me some time because I want to do the experiment once or twice and make sure it works, and then you guys can bring the film crew and we can shoot it. But with Jaren, he apparently just said, okay, just bring the film crew and I'll wing it and look like a complete idiot and make the truth and the shape of the earth look stupid, the flat idea. And that's apparently good enough for him. I mean, that sounds kind of ridiculous to me. So when did this Behind the Curve documentary come out? It was 2018, November 15th. And the date that him and Witsit did that 666th video stream was January 2nd, 2025. Exactly 6 years, 6 weeks, and 6 days. So, if you guys think that that's real, then I don't know what else to tell you. But these people are, you know, there's definitely you know a lot of 666s going on with that whole excursion down to Antarctica. And people will just say, like, oh, coincidence, all these people with black eyes and Black Eye Club. Recently we saw Elon Musk in the Black Eye Club, you know. So what I'm just kind of going through is just all these people who are the world stagers who um you know put out they do what they're told, so if they need Brad Pitt to do a movie with certain symbolism in it, sure, why not? If they need George Bush to come out or John Kerry to say something about a storm or a kraken or whatever kind of ridiculous stuff they want to push, yeah, like they just this is all part of the club, as George Carlin says. Alex Jones, this is like an interesting one. So like he's like pointing to the devil horns. Then Dwayne Wade does the same thing, pointing to the devil horns. George Bush, you can constantly see him do the devil horns. Tom Cruise. Can't even think of what this guy. Oh, Russell Brand. And he was married actually to Katy Perry, who does it also. Obama. This was the cyclist. I think Lance Armstrong, The Rock. They're just, you get the point. All the same club, all the same stuff. This is kind of like a combo of Hidden Hand and Devil Horns. Same thing. So here's Elon Musk. This was his previous wife, Grimes, doing the devil horns, of course, and everything he's got is related to this X because X ultimately symbolizes the North Pole. So here we have the Hyperloop logo. You got X, the Twitter, the new name for Twitter. You got SpaceX, and space ultimately is symbolic of our third eye as well, because they want to enter our third eye. That's getting into our temple, and we have to allow them in. This was like a Super Bowl show. You got Dr. Dre doing the devil horns right in the middle of the stage for everybody. Um, Time Magazine, they often put the devil horns on people. Uh, Prince Charles, now King Charles. Trump, of course, gets the biggest devil horns because he's the devil. James Franco, Eminem, Obama again, Rihanna, Tarantino doing like the Baphomet double up and down. Trump and Jesse James. Oh, so this one's interesting. So this is the Life magazine cover of the Apollo 11 mission, and this is very serious business, right? These guys are all legit. They certainly wouldn't like hide, uh, devil horns, right on the cover. This one is another Life magazine cover after they allegedly killed these people, and maybe they did kill them because apparently they were going to, tell the truth about how it's all a bunch of nonsense. And then this guy on the cover of the magazine, oop, he's uh he's doing like the sign, like you guys better all shut up about this. And then here another cover of Life magazine with these uh extremely awesome astronauts who we should all look up to, right? But this is the inverted cross, you know. See if I can. This is a Christ pose, but they're doing it in the Antichrist. It's all on purpose. More devil horns, people would say like, "Oh, it's just an excuse." He's just representing the Longhorns, in Texas football. No, it ain't that. It's like when people say like they're doing like the "I love you" sign for what's that called? For deaf people. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's all just to put out the devil horns, which I think references the Apex Dome. Here's let's see, Chelsea Clinton with their upside down cross, just like we saw the astronaut. See, it's like this. And a lot of these people wear upside down crosses. They might have stopped doing it because people started pointing it out. Yeah, George Washington. I probably, saw a lot of these on like Russian vids or They Live Truth channel. It says, if he's a Freemason, they put that above the president because that's more important. Truman, big Freemason, of course. Here's Trump when he was doing his dealings with the North Koreans. This is, of course, the Freemason apron. It's just a symbol to everyone, saying like, "Hey, everything's cool. We're all in the same club." Shaq, of course, Teddy Roosevelt, Eddie Murphy, Elon again. This is Elon's mom, so she obviously has got it all down. I guess I show you guys quickly. These were Illuminati playing cards. You guys probably all saw this already, but I'm just establishing a foundation for future live streams here, showing that this is all scripted. Like this is all just laid out there, and when you put the puzzle pieces together, it's very obvious. This came out in like the mid '90s, by the way, and they're real. I actually have these. Maybe I'll show them one day. Have to get them out. But this is just this montage that someone made, or a collage someone made, of all these different children's shows showing the all-seeing eye in various places. This is apparently a picture of Lincoln, back in the day, and these guys have the hidden hand, perhaps saying that they're actually the ones in control, and this guy's just a puppet, like we saw in I Pet Goat 2. The presidents are just puppets. Although I wouldn't call Trump a puppet. Um, Hidden hand, of course. So this is interesting too. It's kind of another way to look at it, um, of this world scripting. But so this is Kate Middleton, and I assume this is her first baby, but I don't know. It's one of her babies. And when she's showing the baby, she's wearing the exact same dress that Mia Farrow wore in Rosemary's Baby. So this is like whether or not this baby is evil or not, like who knows what it is, but she's presenting it like, oh, here's our Antichrist baby. Like, like what other meaning would that have? Here's another shot of it. It's just ridiculous. Just- So, and this is the other one. What's her name? Meghan Markle. So, she apparently dresses up like Princess Di used to dress whenever they do like maybe not every time, but enough times to for someone to point it out. But they're just showing you that it's all BS. This is like one of the older Rothschilds. She wears her Satan and Baphomet and goat and all this stuff necklaces. Uh, this is another pose they like doing where they have the Freemason chain. It's just all part of the same club, having a good time. Trump thinks this is really funny. There's a bunch of Freemasons doing it. A bunch of Freemasons doing it. This guy, you might remember that he allegedly died during the V time period, and he's wearing his Shriner's hat. Total coincidence. Someone posted this how their names are anagrams, and they often work in anagrams, and you can see how they look similar. And I'm not saying that they're the same person, but I'm just saying that him get dying of a head wound or allegedly dying of a head wound during the time of this guy putting the V out, that's all part of the magic spell because this guy was putting the V out to give people a mortal head wound, essentially, a wound that they probably can't recover from, unfortunately. Hopefully, they can. I mean, if you're listening to this and you got the V, I would suggest praying to God about it and asking Him to remove anything that was put into you that is, antichrist or negative in nature. And it's still not too late. If you could look at these two pictures and say they're the same two people, then I don't really know what to tell you. I mean, the women are definitely not the same people, and also, quotation marks around the word women. At least the one on the left, which is probably Kevin Kline in a wig, but I'm not going to go there. I'll leave that stuff to fittest flat earther. But just saying, this isn't real. Like these aren't real people. They're all actors. It's all just a bunch of world stage spellcraft. This was the guy who was supposedly like anti-V, and he's posing with all this ridiculousness, and his name is like a joke. Like it's like no VA. You could put an X there, and then it's like a joke because these guys they're tricksters and they like to mock. Tom Cruise doing all the symbols. He's obviously in the club. This guy, you might not expect him to be, but I don't know if he's still the fastest person in the world, Usain Bolt. But he's obviously in the club. This is apparently his hand with the mason ring. Adam Levine, I think he's the singer of Maroon 5. And apparently they came out with like a clothing line and, just to tell everyone that it's satanic or part of the club or whatever. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is a Kmart ad. It's ridiculous. And here, if you want to just pause this and look at who's in this image, it's just a bunch of ridiculous people. And yes, V being an invert of A, I think that is on purpose. Um, Celine Dion, of course, in the club, Eyes on Me. Now, was this photo staged? Maybe not, but it was used at least because of this. Bill Cosby, Angelina Jolie, Michael Jackson, of course, Eminem, all these people, famous people, the Harry Potter girl, Justin Bieber, Robin Williams, Samuel L. Jackson, Bono. It's all of them. Here it is again: Miley Cyrus, Lady Gaga, Aldous Huxley, of course. There's another one. I just like dumped a bunch of these in here just to prove the point that it's, just in case it's like, oh, there'd have to be so many people that are in on this. It's like, yeah, there are. There's millions of people that are in on this. Like this is a spiritual war for our souls, and these are the people who are on the devil's side, and they're basically recruiters and black magic magicians who are trying to scoop up as many souls as they can for the devil so he could build his army before the last day. It's the most serious thing in the world. Katy Perry, of course, Michael Jackson again, Bon Jovi, John Lennon, Sarah Silverman. See, this is like a joke. Keep your laws off my body. That's probably like a feminist thing, but then I 100%. I'm pretty sure she was 100% for the V. So, of course, the laws and keep your laws off my body doesn't pertain when it's the V. The other pyramid symbol they all do: Snoop Dogg, Diamond Dallas Page, Jay Z, Denzel, Warren Buffett, uh, Merkel always does it. Tulsi Gabbard, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's like one of the top people because of his talent, and his name is JC. So they like to use those JC names a lot whenever possible. So like James Cameron. Whenever you see a JC name, just take note of it because uh, there's importance to that, obviously, because of Jesus Christ. Again, with all the pyramid signs, it's basically all the household names, all the people that are in everyone's face all the time. Yep, Jim Caviezel in Passion of the Christ. And he was actually 33 years old when they filmed it. And they also claim uh, that he died while he was on the cross, or at least got hit with lightning while he was on the cross. And then they kind of like tried to make it like a Jesus Christ resurrection thing going on. And yes, Emerald Boar, I do think Jaron Campanella. It's important that he has that. I should have mentioned it, but yeah, he has the JC initials, and he's like the turncoat. He's like, oh guys, we were wrong. The globe was right this whole time. Yeah, and John Cusack, he's a big one too. He often plays Christ and Antichrist characters as well. Actually, the show Utopia is like a must watch if you have Amazon Prime. It's only like 12 episodes or 8 episodes or something. But yeah, if you haven't seen Utopia, I would suggest making that your next watch because, like I said, it's only like 8 episodes. I think the United States version. There's a British version, but the United States version is the important one. There's a lot of good stuff in the British version, but the United States one, or the United States one is the one that really goes hard on the world script. I'll probably do a special on that one time, maybe soon. Um, so yeah, so here I'll just show you a bunch of like one eye symbolism things on posters. Halloween, Candyman, Cat People, Eyes Wide Shut. True Grit. This is interesting too because this is one of the first one eye characters that came about. This is John Wayne, and this is a Mandela Effect. Just keep in mind that the letter R often gets an extended leg. And I know most people haven't seen this VHS tape, but I know for a fact that this changed. And I'll show you guys way more examples in the future, just to point it out for notice. Lawnmower Man, of course, Requiem for a Dream. Just showing you like it's like constant. I mean, I know we all know this, but I just wanted to build this foundation in this first episode or this first live stream to really hammer home what we're dealing with and who we're up against. So yeah, these are the first VHS tapes for the Star Wars trilogy, and like look how like awesome the artwork is and how cool they look. These are more of them. So these were how they looked when they first came out. It's like normal artwork that you would expect to see on a movie poster back in the 80s. Really cool, stylized. Of course, there's symbolism. You got the one eye with the beam and all the sword and all this stuff. So I mean, there is symbolism. I'm not saying that there isn't, but then this is what they changed it to. It's like 1984 level boring covers with the one eye, and that's like that was like the new standard. And then like this is like the Disney series now. It's just this boring same picture with the one eye. So they're definitely taking us down spiritually while also casting spells on us. And then, of course, this is like the Dark Knight posters, the one eye, and all that. Total Recall, and of course, the pyramid. There's a lot going on there too. This is all the predictive programming for the September event in New York. If you're not familiar with this, you could pause this live stream and check these out. And there's more than this too, but these are a lot of them. So you have to, ask yourself, what's going on here. It's obviously all scripted, and in scripts, there's what's it called? Foreshadowing. So this is foreshadowing. That's why a lot of people think that there's going to be an event with the Space Needle in Seattle, because there's just like constant foreshadowing of the Space Needle being destroyed. And same thing probably too with the Golden Gate Bridge and the Space Needle, of course. And both those things actually are extremely symbolic, because the Space Needle is essentially the blue beam, because it's the needle that shoots up into space. And it's also, and that's God's needle. The devil's needle is the smaller needle with the black goo that goes into our inner space. And God's, of course, goes into our inner space also, but with like truth and Christ, you know, uh, energy or understanding. And the black goo needle is like, Antichrist, lies, the inversion. So this was like a TV series called The 10th Kingdom. I haven't watched it yet, but the covers of the VHS tapes are so crazy, because so you have like this old world style castle, and then it's got like, the upside down like Stranger Things, where the world is inverted, and they focus on the twin towers. And then on the other cover, it's the opposite, where they have the twin towers on top and the castle below. So it's like the two different worlds. It's kind of like analog versus digital, God versus devil, that type of thing. This was in a 1968 Israeli shekel. Pretty obvious what's going on here. Of course, people who can't see this stuff would just say that this is a scroll, but it's obviously twin towers. And 68 was the year that they actually started building them, which just happened to be 33 years to 2001 when they came down. And again, this movie came out after this event, but it just goes to show you how they keep hammering this symbolism into us. And this is like, like a dark phoenix type symbolism. Um, and this apparently was a painting that was at this guy's island. And it's like a bush with planes taking down two towers. These were like Jenga towers. And obviously you can find a ton of 9/11 stuff, but here this one's just interesting because you got the twins, you got the yellow and blue, the 9/11, this type of stuff. It just happens like constantly in the news. And wrestling is obviously a big thing too. There's actually a great clip which I can't play because of copyright, but uh, it's got like Macho Man and Hulk Hogan, and they're talking about tearing down the twin towers and all that. And wrestling is another huge thing where wherever there's like millions of eyes watching something, that's when they're doing their black magic essentially. Um, they go after the Olympic uh, ceremonies, the Super Bowls. Wrestling's huge. The big movies. The Marvel, the DC, the Star Wars, the Lord of the Rings. The Matrix. All these big things that millions of people are going to see are loaded with the world script symbolism. Now, Dream Theater. This is a band. Their logo. This is totally Mandela affected. You have the long R's. That's a common pattern. The E connected to the A, and these A's were turned into lambdas. This is like a capital lambda, and this is more like a lowercase lambda. So that's kind of interesting there. I'm not sure about this triangle. I've seen triangles like this added into logos. I don't know if that's changed, but I do know that the A's had crossbars, and I doubt that this R was this low. And there's probably other changes too. But anyway, this album came out literally on September 11, 2001. And they actually had to redact it because it was too ridiculous. And then they came out with like another cover. And look, you have the apple with the barbed wire. This is like straight out of iPad Go too. Only it came out, 11 years before. Because it's all the same symbolism. Um, yeah, I just wanted to prove it. So yeah, released on this day. And you'll always see the 33. This is about the first responders to September. the September event, 33,000 in the news, when Trump was going on about Hillary Clinton's emails, 33,000 emails. Uh, David Letterman, obviously a huge player. His show lasted 33 years. Another huge player, probably Jim Morrison. But again, I'll leave that to Fittest Flat Earther and some other people. But yeah, I think that this one is a very likely one. That he's Jim Morrison, and his main show lasted 33 years. He was on the air before that, but like his main, nationally syndicated show was 33 years. Tom Cruise always he's had, I think, 3 wives, and he divorced them all when they were each 33 years old. I mean, this guy, I mean, he probably doesn't like women anyway. America is about to experience. Okay, so yeah, the Pluto return, if you guys remember that, it was February 2nd, 2022. So it's the 2222 thing. So yeah, see, so they're saying it's about to come, and this is on the 21st. And the reason that I brought that up was because this guy, who was obviously a very famous player in this whole thing, who, I don't think he died either. Um, but it happened, or his death allegedly happened on this day. And if you count forward from his alleged death to that Pluto return, it's 22 years, 222 days. So what exactly the um spell is here, I don't know, but it's obviously part of the world scripting with the numerology. Just pointing it out because it's ridiculous. Um, this is Princess Di for some reason. Princess Diana. Oh, I know what this is. All right. So first of all, she's on an Illuminati card, and they show her with the paparazzi. So this is obviously foreshadowing of what happened. Obviously, she didn't die in that event either. It's ridiculous. And I saw this on Matt's channel, Quantum of Conscience. Obviously, go check out that. I mean, everyone's probably aware of Matt, but if you're not, check out Quantum of Conscience for sure. He's one of the top philosophers of our time, in my opinion. And here we have this Wonder Woman comic where Wonder Woman is killed. Oh, and this issue came out in August of 1997, which is when Princess Diana was allegedly killed. And the interesting thing about that is that Wonder Woman's name is Princess Diana. I mean, she goes by Diana Prince, but that's just because her name is Princess Diana. So obvious for like so what exactly is going on here? I mean, obviously DC is a huge company that's in on all this. So they were told to make some kind of black magic ritual comic book release where Wonder Woman dies on this specific day or in this specific month. And it's crazy. This is from Eyes Wide Shut. So this is the woman who was sacrificed in the Masked Party, the ex beauty queen. And this article is by Larry Salona. And I don't want to get too into this, and people have talked about this, but oh yeah, definitely check out Quantum of Conscience. Yeah, he's really funny too. Yeah, he's awesome. Um, so let's see, Amanda Curran. So I don't want to get too into this, but basically what happened is keep in mind that Larry Salona, this is in the movie Eyes Wide Shut, and Tom Cruise is reading this newspaper, and because he's trying to figure out what really happened in that club or in that masked party. And this guy, Larry Salona, is actually a real writer. And he is the one who wrote the obituaries, or at least an obituary for this guy and for Stanley Kubrick. So he's saying how he got a cameo in Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. And like, just think of how ridiculous that is. So the guy who Kubrick asked to write an obituary for the woman who was sacrificed in Eyes Wide Shut is also a real obituary writer who wrote Kubrick's obituary in real life. And Jeff, Epp. I mean, that's it's ridiculous, and it also just shows how they're constantly blending fact and fiction, fiction and reality. All right, and then just to end probably the stream, I had a couple more folders, but this is a lot of stuff. I don't know if I can keep going. I don't know if my voice can keep going. Where are we at? Oh, it's over 2 hours. Yeah, I should probably call it. I do have a lot more to show you guys. Maybe I'll just come back in a couple of days. But this movie Society is amazing. I heard about it a long time ago on if you guys are familiar with Red Letter Media. They're like one of the few channels that I still watch, who's kind of like normie content, but I still do learn some interesting stuff from watching them. But it's also just fun entertainment. But anyway, they brought up this movie Society a long time ago, and it easily became one of my favorite movies. And what they said was, you probably would like to watch the movie before hearing anything about it, and I kind of do agree with that. So I think I'll be ending the stream after this. So, just in case you really wanna watch it, maybe pause the stream or come back later or something and watch it first. I don't even know where you could find it, to be honest. You might have to buy a DVD on eBay or something, because I don't think they like people watching this movie, to be honest, because it shows the elite people basically, well, alright, so spoilers from this movie, from this moment on. The elite people who, run the world, and in the world of this movie are running things, they're basically shapeshifters, and this guy is the main character. Kind of looks like young John Stamos kind of guy, and his name is Billy Warlock. Weirdly enough, and I kind of thought that he was the only, or that this was like the only movie he made. So I looked him up on IMDb, and he's actually in a ton of stuff, because he was like, I guess he's a huge like soap opera guy. Like he was in like General Hospital and a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, his name is Billy Warlock, which is interesting. So here he's got the blue and white because he's the hero of the movie. So this is like the Christ coloring, and the 45 also references Trump, in my opinion. But also in this scene, his friend here, while they're playing basketball, he calls him Mr. Perfect. And whenever you see the word perfect, that references God. Not that he's God, but this, he's got like the godlike energy. He's like one of us. He can see the truth in this society where most people can't. So he comes home to try to surprise his parents, who aren't really his parents. And the house is dark. It just look this kind of a weird still frame. But he's all like worked up about all these crazy things that have been happening. And then his so-called parents come home, and he thinks that he's got the drop on them. But the whole thing has just been a complete setup. And all these people are just like satanic shape-shifting actors. And the whole house is filled with people, and they capture him and wrangle him, and put him on display, and they're all laughing at him. This is his sister, and this is the guy who bullied him, and this is like a friend of his, and they're all just in on it. Like it's like what I was showing you with all the famous people doing all the hand signs and stuff. Like they'll just lie to your face. Even your sister will just lie to your face 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because they're imposters. They're not. It's all just part of this, charade. And they're walking him through this thing, and then they put him down on the ground. This was like a cop, who you thought he was like a real cop, but he's not. He's just part of the system. And then, like the mayor comes out, and all the, the bigger important people, and they're all clapping, and he's telling everyone how great a job they did. And, everyone was just wonderful. Um, let's see, and people clapping, and he's trying to figure out what's going on still, because this is even crazier than he thought it was. And she's basically saying like, I'm not your mother. This goes a little crazier than reality. I'm not saying this is exactly what reality is like, but see how he says like Jesus, Bill. Like notice that a lot. Whenever someone says Jesus in a movie, or Jesus Christ or something, that that's in a script for a reason. If it's not just like some independent thing where it isn't the world script media. If it's world script media and they're mentioning Jesus, it's for a reason. It's because Bill, the main character, is, the Christ character. He's the one who can see through the lies, and he's trying to get to the truth, and all that. But they're literally saying that they're a different race, a different species, and this was the guy who he thought who was his, psychologist, who was trying to help him, but he was actually leading him in the wrong direction the whole time. And he's saying, "They're a different species, a different class. You're not one of us. You have to be born into society." So Billy calls them alien scum because they are alien. Like the left pillar, these body snatchers are alien, and the kraken is alien. Um, and he's saying, we've been here as long as you have, so it's kind of like the wheat and the tares, uh, because like I think God says like they should be planted at the same time and grow up together. And then he's saying, it's a matter of good breeding. That's what they like to keep it in. That's why they're so obsessed with like their bloodlines and all that. And he keeps calling them alien scum. Um, yeah, and so I mean, it's a pretty wild movie. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's what happens in the end. And I didn't even show you the crazy stuff that happens in the end. But it's quite a movie. It's quite ridiculous, and it showcases the world script. And, I think I'm gonna call it there. I do actually have a lot more to share with you guys, but, yeah, I don't really wanna go past 2 hours on a live stream. Time goes by a lot faster than I thought it would. Um, but yeah, no, I appreciate all you guys for being here. Please, like the stream, share it with people, and, the next time I go live, we're gonna get into a lot of awesome stuff, and it's gonna be a lot of stuff that people haven't seen on the internet yet. So, I think I'll just leave it there, and, anyone I'll just check to see if anyone has any questions or anything real quick. Oh, yeah, thanks for liking the stream, I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely a crazy, creepy movie. Oh, is there a V on her dress? I actually have the laser disc. Yeah, that's interesting. Um, yeah, yeah, it's a lot like They Live, for sure. Thanks, Raleigh. Thank you. All right, thank you guys. Well, I really appreciate it, and until next time, God bless. So long.